The following is part of an interview that the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe did with James Randi. This was recorded at the Amazing Meeting in 2013. Take a listen.
My good friend, the late Martin Gardner. Oh my, how I miss the presence of Martin. He died at the age of 94, but he was a delightful soul, wonderful man, great thinker. And my library is just full of his books, all of which are gigantic accomplishments, I can tell you. But Martin Gardner, as rational as he was, I think about 3 or 4 years before he died, he told me on a phone conversation, he said, "But you should know, Randy, that I'm a deist." Mm-hmm. And I sort of stopped on the phone. I said, I'd heard that, but I didn't know whether to believe it or not. Yeah. Now, a deist is a different thing from a religious person. A deist, he explained it, he tried to explain it to me. He said, a deist is somebody who believes that there is some overpowering force that brought all this into existence and that has some sort of influence and is in the background. And I said, "Martin, do you have any evidence for that at all?" And he said, "No, I freely admit it. You've got all the evidence on your side, Randy. I don't have any evidence whatsoever." And I said, "Well, why do you believe it then?" And he answered me, now this is charming and it's typically Martin. He says, "Because frankly, it makes me feel better about myself." Yeah. That's all I need, guys. I don't need him to give me some big philosophical thing and quote all the famous philosophers of time. I don't need that. If it made Martin Gardner feel a little more secure, and he realized he was reaching the end of his life, and I accepted it with a certain amount of, a little twinge of, oh boy, I wish he hadn't said that kind of thing. Yeah. But nonetheless, it was my good friend Martin, and bless him. I have great memories of him.
I can accept that without a problem. I know a lot of people that are in that zone. Mm-hmm. My personal feeling is that when I realized that I don't believe in God, that I knew that I was going to die and it was going to be oblivion. Mm-hmm. It changed me. And I went through a process that I would not be the person I am if I didn't go through that realization.
You became a hedonist?
Well, no, not at all. No. And I will argue, I hate to say this, and some people might not agree with this statement at all, but I think I appreciate things on a level that someone that never faces their mortality gets to. Because I do think everything's precious, and every good person that I meet in my life is precious. And, I'm extending love to a lot of people, and it's the most important realization of my life, I think, is that I'm going to cease to exist.
When you close your eyes for the last time, whether you know it or not, or it comes suddenly, you don't know, of course, in advance, thank goodness. But when you close your eyes for the last time, if you do it quietly and in peace and in bed, as we might prefer to do it, as I do, I think you'll smile, knowing that you did the best you could while you were here, and that you're not going to be here any longer, but what you've done will outlast you. It will stay behind. Now, I'll have 11 books out, and they'll be around, not in the form of paper, because paper goes away eventually, but they'll be there someplace, I think, or at least the thoughts that I expressed.
Randy, a lot of people might say, well, that's easy for you to say, Randy, because look at you, you're world famous, and you have all this stuff, but I think everybody could get there. Everybody could feel that way.
Absolutely, yes.
It's you can, if you just changed the immediate friends and family around you, that's good enough.
Yeah. Or even if you just have 2 kids or something like that, and they're going to go on, and they're going to be successful in life and happy, and they're going to accomplish something. That's all you need.
Randy, are you afraid to die?
Oh, no, not at all. No, I'm going into an operation in a few days, as a matter of fact, and it's a critical operation, but I know I've got the best medical help in the world that are going to be looking after me, and I'll go under the anesthetic, and I'll just hope, I hope I come out of this,
Were you ever afraid to die in your life?
No. Oh, no.
Even when we were hanging over Niagara Falls?
Oh, no. I had a lot of rope on me, let me tell you. Steel cables and the whole thing. That wasn't going to fall anywhere. But, no, I have twice in my life, I have come very close to death. Yeah. And both times, I thought, this is the end. This is it. Damn, I was angry. I was totally pissed off. I was saying, I had so much to do, and I hated the fact that people would be sorrowing over me. Only two, but but that people would be regretful of the fact that they didn't have me around anymore.
Yeah.
But I have no fear of death. I really have no fear of death.
Do you have any regrets?
Oh yes, I got regrets. Oh yeah.
Any you want to share? Or?
Hey.
Hey, come on.
I had two opportunities to hear Pavarotti sing in person.
Oh, boy.
And I couldn't take advantage of it. And I was in South Africa twice, and I begged and begged and begged to be enabled to touch the hand of Nelson Mandela. And I never got that either. There are a couple of other things that I've missed over the years, too. And, but these are small. Pavarotti did fine without me. You know.
Those sound. I mean, if you get to the end of your life and those are your regrets, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's an awesome regret.
Yeah, well, that's the worst regrets I've got, and if those are the worst, I'm doing okay.
Yeah. But you
Randy,
look back and you're comfortable that it was a life well spent.
Oh, I'm happy with what I got done. Yeah, because I've got over 1,000 people out there in the auditorium, and they seem to think that I'm okay. And, that's enough to get me going.
Randy, what's your biggest achievement?
Well, my book, Flim Flam, was my first book. I haven't turned out version 2 because it really hasn't been necessary. And that covers the whole spectrum pretty well of the paranormal. And what's the technical term that Penn Teller? Bullshit. Right? It's all in there.
Randy, you were one of the primary inspirations for the Skeptic's Guide podcast to come into existence.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. You were, before we started the podcast, if you remember, we had you speak for the NES a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
You were one of you and Carl Sagan. It was you and Carl Sagan that did this to all of us.
Wow.
And, so my greatest achievement, other than my relationship with my wife and my child, of course, I'm talking about like the work that we do, is the SGU, is the podcast. And you started that for us. So I want to thank you.
The ripple effect from your influence is incalculable, I think.
I ripple off the place, did I?
Yeah. Well, it's like the butterfly effect, but with skepticism.
Yeah.
I see.
Very good. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I hope I'll be smiling. I suspect I will be when I close my eyes. That's not for a long time yet. When they ask me my age, I always say 84 going on 100 because I'm very optimistic.
So, Randy, if there is an afterlife, I want you to contact me.
Okay.
From the other side.
You got an address, an email address?
Let me finish with a metaphor that I think you'll particularly appreciate. So I think what we're saying is that you are one of the giants upon whose shoulders we all stand. And so we do appreciate the role that you played in the greater skeptical movement in the world today. I mean, really, again, I was sincere. I don't think we could really calculate all the number of people you touched and the people that they influenced, that really spreads very, very far. So no end to our appreciation for you.
Steve, that makes me all gushy.
Randy, has anyone called you a giant before?
No.
He said it was a metaphor.
Okay, metaphor.
I stand on the chair maybe, but...
Randy, congratulations on your marriage.
Oh, thank you, sir.
And I wish you well with your surgery. I'm sure you're going to be fine.
Oh, yeah. Just go easy with that scalpel there.
Yeah.
No fancy work.